4 strategies for losing weight include number 1, eat an anti-inflammatory diet. The 3 root causes of all disease are genetics, digestion, and inflammation. If you've ever dealt with sudden weight gain in your life, or even chronic weight gain and maybe things like metabolic syndrome or insulin resistance, these types of health issues arise partly because there's inflammation in the body. First and foremost, if you expect your gut microbiome to be functioning at optimal capacity for the highest functioning metabolism, you must remove sources of inflammation in your diet. I'm going to tell you a really interesting fact. The gut microbiome, or bacteria within the gut, contains between 5 and 10 million genes, compared to only 22,000 human genes in the rest of the body. Hi, I'm Joy Hoisington, Functional Nutrition Coach, and I would love it if you would take a moment to subscribe below so that you can be notified of the videos that I post on Thursdays for Food for Thought Thursdays. The gut microbiome is directly connected to weight loss, and if it becomes compromised due to inflammation, you won't be able to utilize the energy that you take in well due to miscommunications in the gut from inflammation. Your gut lining is within the first line of defense of your immune system against invaders and pathogens, and the more inflammation that's present, damage happens to your gut lining, which includes the microbiome. In fact, the gut lining is thinner than a piece of tissue paper, and it replaces itself every 3 to 5 days completely. That is why it's so sensitive to things like foods and viruses and chemical exposures or other pathogens. To eat the most anti-inflammatory foods, I like to use the guideline of sticking to mostly whole foods, which are foods that are as close as possible to their natural state and is devoid of things like additives, pesticides, processed oils, or artificial flavors. In addition to this, identifying trigger foods for inflammation using a food journal can be very helpful because each person is different, and this is an area that I work a lot with my clients. This process also can take some time, but it almost always starts with removing gluten, which is a food that I truly think is of the devil. All right, I'm kidding, but also kind of serious at the same time. I refer my clients to a local doctor nearby who takes insurance and does food allergy testing. He does a small IgG panel and IgE panel for food allergies, which is it looks at the most top allergens, the most common ones. And for those of you who are out of network with that doctor, I might order a food allergy panel to be done at home using a finger stick. And this is going to be an IgG, IgE panel that's done by Diagnostic Solutions that looks at like over 300 foods and as well as environmental allergies as well. Number 2 is to eat a high protein breakfast. Doing this helps stabilize your hunger levels and your blood sugar, setting you up for a more balanced start up for the day. Some common breakfast ideas I suggest are a high quality homemade protein shake, and ground hemp seeds is my go-to recommendation because it's high in iron, omega-3 fats, fiber, and protein, which is really unusual for a protein source. You can add ground flax into your shake, which will give you really healthy fiber, and it's really high in vitamin B1. And then in addition to this, you would add a nut milk into your protein shake, and a non-dairy one would be best because then you can absorb the highest amount of non-heme iron, or a non-plant source, a form of iron, which is what's in the protein powder. And then in addition to this, you can add a nut butter for extra healthy fat and a little bit extra protein. I have a few recipes that I recommend for either a strawberry version or a chocolate version that I've designed myself, and they're absolutely delicious. Some other high protein breakfasts are unsweetened yogurt with stevia, or a nice hearty omelet with lots of veggies. Number 3 is to eat dinner before 7 p.m. and avoid late night snacking. When it comes to nutrition, there are 4 factors that affect our health outcome. They are quality, quantity, diversity, and timing. Timing is everything when it comes to our food. If you haven't noticed, our bodies are designed to be active during the day and to wind down and rest at night. Our hormones are always fluctuating throughout the day according to our circadian rhythm, which is also why sleep is hugely important for weight loss. By eating all of our nutrients and calories during the active sunlit hours of the day, we put our bodies in a position to better utilize the food that we take in. And then by the time we get to bed, which should be about 10 p.m. or earlier for the deepest, most restorative sleep, our bodies are in a fasting fat burn state, or should be in a fasting fat burn state. However, some of us still do get hungry after 7, and people don't know what to do with that. I mean, because I really am a firm believer that you should honor your hunger and fullness throughout the day. So the best tip that I can tell you for this is to wait until right before bed and then have a small amount of protein, such as a slice of turkey or a spoonful of nut butter, to make sure you're not going to bed starving. Number 4 is to eat lighter carbohydrates at dinner time. Since our body's hormones are changing based on the circadian rhythm, we must realize that cortisol is one of these hormones. When we cause a big blood sugar spike before bed, our cortisol will rise and we go into fight or flight. And the reason why this is bad is that A, cortisol causes our blood sugar to rise, which can lead to fat production and storage. So the blood sugar spike causes cortisol to rise, but then when the cortisol is high, it kind of tells all of our cells to release fat and glucose into the blood so that we can be ready to run away from a bear if needed, which is essentially how fight or flight works. And then B, when we are in fight or flight, that will prevent a restful sleep. And when we're not sleeping, we are not effectively burning fat as well. And C, it drains our adrenal glands, which over time can lead to fatigue and inflammatory responses in the body. This is why keeping blood sugar in a fasting state before bed is optimal. This means if you were to test your blood sugar, you'd want it to be between 88 and 98 at bedtime. So now you know my top 4 strategies for losing weight. I should also mention that for those of you looking to lose weight, you want to aim for a steady weight loss of between 1 and 3 pounds per week. This means that if you are consistently losing 1 pound per week, after a year, that would be 52 pounds. But if you were to go on a temporary diet for only 4 weeks, that would only be 4 pounds on the lower end. This is why so many get frustrated, is because they want fast, quick changes and they think that there's something wrong with them. But in reality, it's just that they don't have a healthy expectation of how much is a healthy amount to lose based on the timing. The goal is to create lasting lifestyle change and to not be in a dieting mentality. Be sure to check out my series that I did on intuitive eating that comes with 6 different episodes that really focuses on how to have a balanced mentality around food and not get stuck in a dieting mentality. The other important thing to remember is that 2 cups of water weighs 1 pound. Water weight fluctuates constantly throughout the day and throughout each week. If you eat high carb foods like cakes or cookies, you can actually gain between 3 and 4 pounds of water weight easily, because water will follow carbohydrates, since water is attracted to water and there is water in carbohydrate. In addition to if you're eating salty foods, which water also follows salt. And if it's a whole weekend of eating junk food, it could be even more water weight gain. This is why instead of measuring your weight each day, it's easier if you just get rid of the scale for a while to prevent getting discouraged. Also, if you're going to be working out and building muscle, you're going to assume that you are not losing fat because of the fact that you're gaining muscle, which takes up less mass pound for pound than fat does. This is why it's better to go by measurements, like looking at inches lost rather than pounds lost. I hope that all this information helped you, and if you'd like to have someone support you while you change your life, please let me help. Reach out to me at gograssrootsnutrition@gmail.com with your goals so that maybe we can set up a strategy session completely free of charge. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.